the first choice that I made on my journey to enduring success was to pick up the phone when my sister called.
Yeah.
You know this story. We're not going to get into it, but to me, that was my first choice. And I consider that a first choice. And what I learned is that really success begins with making a first choice. Is there a first choice that in looking back on your journey, you would say that was a first choice that impacted my way here?
100%. I remember where I was sitting, what I was doing. It's so vivid in my mind. So growing up, I was always told, oh, you'd be a good lawyer, because I was articulate. I liked to debate things. I did well in all the writing subject. It's like, oh, you'll be a good lawyer. And I was like, okay. Get to final year of high school, and it's like, well, I think I'd be a good lawyer. Everyone's told me law seems like a good field. I'm just going to go into it. And I did. And I did do really well in law school. And I made it to a big corporate law firm as like an intern. And at the end of that program, they only offered 2 full-time positions to the entire class of like 10 or 12 interns or something like that. And they offered it to me. And I remember when they called me to tell me, I was sitting in a pancake restaurant randomly with a good friend at the time. And they were like, congratulations, we want you to come back. This is so exciting. And I remember just sitting there and feeling this sense of like dread and fear in my body of, oh my God, this cannot be my life. Like, this is not who I am. This is not what I want to do. I found no real joy in the work. It didn't feel like the mission that I wanted to be on. And I remember just saying, thank you so much, but I'm going to have to turn it down. And the woman on the other side was like, oh, she clearly had never heard this before. And, you know, people in my life are like, what are you doing? This is a wild decision. But that was one of the first big moments in my life where I listened to this feeling that I had in myself and the little voice that was like, you don't want this. You want a different life. Take it. So the first choice I made was to say no to something that I was good at, that I was told I should do, that society views as success, in air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
But
that you worked so hard to accomplish.
I worked so hard for. I got all the way through law school. I have a law degree. It's sitting there, but I didn't use it in the traditional sense. It's been super valuable in other ways, but no, I decided to pivot, and I think it's never ever too late in your life to do that. But that is the very first moment where I was like, no, I'm going to make a decision for myself, and that was my first big, powerful, life-changing choice.
Wow. And I don't know if this is fact or fiction. I believe in many cases, there's probably a lot of people who wouldn't follow their heart in that situation.
Yeah.
Let me just do it and see what happens. Let me give it a try and give it a go. I can't let my parents down. I can't let whatever it is. I think it's astounding at such a young age, because it's not like you had decades of right? That you
I was 23, maybe.
You were 23.
I would have been about 23.
Yeah. That you made that choice. Do you ever sit with the fact that you did that?
I have played out what my life would have looked like if I had said yes so many times, and it would look completely different, and not wrong or bad, just not for me. I have so many friends who love what they're doing, have been hugely successful in law. They are talented and living amazing lives that are right for them. But when I look at what my journey has been, where I am now, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, despite, plenty of challenges along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I do sit with that, and I try and intentionally feel quite grateful to myself and my younger self, who wasn't so good at making those sorts of choices at that point, for being brave and taking a risk, and it's paid off.
Yeah, it's paid off. And I just want to think about your young self for a minute, especially because you coach and inspire and lead other young selves and the people who influence and coach and
Yes.
lead other young selves,
Yeah.
teachers, guidance counselors, academic professionals. When you put yourself in the young self shoes, why is it so hard to make first choices?
I think it can be very easy to feel like your choices are made for you. And in a lot of ways, as kids, they are. You maybe have guardians who are telling you what to do. You are a part of an education system that tells you where to be and at what time, and sometimes how to dress, and how you need to spend your time. So you get really used to following a system where you have some choices made for you and you very clearly know what to do. But we don't spend enough time helping our kids figure out what's the right choice for me. And one of the things we talk about with the girls we work with is, yes, you have to listen to guardians. You're not an adult yet. You have to go to school, but you always have a choice in how you respond and how you take care of yourself. How can we figure that out together? And that's always a penny drop moment for these girls, because I think they're so used to listening to society tell them what they should be doing and how they should behave and how they should dress and how they should show up in the world to be, air quotes, accepted by society. So to hear this, like, oh, I can choose some of this stuff for me, is both daunting and I think really exciting and empowering. And I read, the feedback from girls after I hear the stories that they tell me. I listen to their amazing, profound insights. Like, these kids are brilliant. When we give them the space to actually reflect on this stuff, to think about themselves, they are just amazing. You would think years of therapy, but they just, when you give them the space, like, they want to have these conversations. So I'm maybe going off on a tangent a little bit.
No, you're not. This is...
The more we can give young people the opportunity to make a choice for themselves and to learn that that choice is okay and it's theirs and they can own it, I think the better our world will be.
Thank you for joining me for our Choose and Become interview series. You could find this episode and others at trishkendall.com. Just go to trishkendall.com/choose-become-interview-series. Or if you have a question or just want to leave a comment, email me, trish@trishkendall.com.